شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Today's topic is a bit unique, and the approach is unique, inshallah. And when we discussed about the topic, even before I came to Canada here, what would be a suitable topic? And through my personal experience in da'wah, and in dealing with Muslims from different backgrounds, in different professions, from different financial backgrounds as well, some sort of an idea started to germinate in my mind based on some observations, a number of observations. The state of our ummah, obviously no one argues that it's unpleasant by all scales, and this is one of the rules that govern this universe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ سُنَنٌ فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Before you there have been generations, and there have been events. So there are subtle rules that govern this universe, that Allah created for this universe. Unless we understand them, we will not be able to benefit or achieve anything in this world. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us repeatedly in the Quran to travel through the earth and learn these, they call them, according to the terminology of the scholars, as-sunan al-kawniyya. As-sunan al-kawniyya, because there are religious rules that we have in Islam. We have fiqh, we have aqidah, haram and halal. These are religious rulings. But there are rules that govern human life. Human life. One of them is mentioned, for example, by Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. Shaykh al-Islam has a very famous statement when he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ لَيُمَكِّنُ لِلْأُمَّةِ الْعَادِلَةِ حَتَّى وَإِنْ كَانَتْ كَافِرَةً. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ لَيُضْعِفُ الْأُمَّةَ الظَّالِمَةَ حَتَّى وَإِنْ كَانَتْ مُؤْمِنَةً. Allah Azza wa Jal, the interpretation of his statement, Allah gives power and dominance to the nation that establishes justice, even if it's kafir, even if it's non-Muslim. If the whole system is non-Muslim, but they establish justice, they observe justice among the people, Allah will give them dominance. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take away power and strength from any ummah that does not observe justice, but creates injustice, even if they are Muslim, even if they are believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is actually part of our religion. Part of our religion. I will talk about a concept which I tend to call, and there could be some reservations on using this terminology, what we can call personal secularism. You know, we criticize some, like Muslim countries and some of the governments, some of the authorities, of having what they call secularism, which is a valid criticism. But many times those who do that, they forget about personal secularism, even among some practicing people. Inshallah, we'll come to explain about this. The reason why I talked about faith-based intelligence is that through my own research in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, which I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me this opportunity. Repeatedly, I've studied the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. Every time I finished, I would start all over again, using different sources, different books, classical and contemporary. And to the extent that I even read some of the books written by non-Muslims about that. Reading the life of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, observing some of the important events that took place in the history of the Muslim Ummah, and reading through Islamic disciplines. Wallahi, the scholars of Al-Islam, they deserve our supplication, dua for them day and night. They've left for us treasures that we are unaware of. Wallahi, they've left some treasures in their books that even the Western civilization, despite its advancement in technology and humanities and all that, wallahi, there are secrets that people don't even know today. And they have no chances of even arriving at such beauty and such intricacy in terms of establishing these sciences. The books of Ibn Taymiyyah are one clear example. The books of Ibn al-Qayyim. Anyone who comes across the books of Ibn al-Qayyim, they love to read them. They enjoy reading them. They realize there are wisdom, there is an amount of wisdom there that has been implied that it could take ages to find out. You could still relate to it at a very superficial level. You can still relate to it, but you can realize and you feel that there is a deeper insight in these writings, but you're not just qualified, you don't have the tools to dig deep and get them and benefit from them. So that was the main reason that inspired this kind of topic and terminology as well. And the reason why I'm using something like faith-based intelligence, obviously somebody might say, what kind of new terminology this is? I will go back to Imam Ibn al-Qayyim as well in his book Madarij al-Salikin. In the first volume he says, very beautiful statement. He says, لا بد من مخاطبة أهل كل زمان, and I usually repeat this word because it's very important. This is one of the main dilemmas of the Muslim Ummah today. لا بد من مخاطبة أهل كل زمان بالاصطلاح الذي يعرفون. You have to speak to each generation using the language they can relate to. The language they can relate to. Many times we speak to people, we bombard them with a lot of advice, but people just can't figure out what we mean. They can't digest exactly what we are talking about. And the reason is by using a language they do not understand. And I'm not referring to English and Arabic. Within English there are different varieties, and I'm not talking again about like Canadian English, American English, British English. I am talking about a language that is alive, which you can relate to. This is why Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, as far as I know, is the first one who has established these three terminologies. Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed al-Asma' wal-Sifat. For about 7 centuries, it's always been in the Muslim Ummah Tawheed. The companions understood it. The Tabi'een understood it. It was understood among these generations. But when Ibn Taymiyyah realized that his people, they say La ilaha illallah, but they still violate it. It shows that they don't understand it. They have very surface understandings, superficial understanding of the meanings. When the Prophet ﷺ came to the people of Mecca, he told them, Qulu la ilaha illallah, they fought him. But now, until today, there are people in the Muslim Ummah who say la ilaha illallah and violate it. They worship other than Allah. They go to graves. They go to graves, and some of them, they supplicate to the dead people, the dead righteous people in the graves. Help us. That's exactly like the shirk the people of Quraysh had. But they have no problem saying La ilaha illallah. They could even say it more than you and I. Why? There's a problem with understanding the Arabic language. See, so there is a language barrier. Language is not only a word and its simple meaning. Language is a package. Language has cultural associations, has a lot of connotations within it. Like in English, if someone wants to learn the English language from books, from dictionaries, use a very simple English expression, like if you are in a certain situation, you say to your friend, okay, give him the benefit of the doubt. If someone learned English only from books, he'll start searching in his pockets. For what? For the benefit of the doubt. They don't understand what you're talking about. But you understand what benefit of the doubt means. Why? Because that's a cultural meaning. That's idiomatic language. And unfortunately, and this is why the Muslim Ummah, one of the main reasons why the Muslim Ummah is in a troublesome state, is that people can speak the Arabic language, but how much can they understand of it? Why do people say La ilaha illallah? Very simple statement. People of Quraysh did not need any explanation. They heard it, they understood its meanings, its implications, and everything it necessitates. So they refused to say it. What makes the mushrikeen today say it without any problem, without any reservation? Because they don't really understand the Arabic language, although they speak Arabic. It's exactly like people who speak English today. When you read Shakespeare's English, you could figure out some meanings. You could come up with a very superficial meaning. But when you listen to an explanation by an expert, you realize that you've only understood 20-30%. So I'll get back to Ibn al-Qayyim's statement. He said, we have to speak to every generation, to every century, using the language. I don't say they understand, they can relate to. They can relate to. So when you say La ilaha illallah, the people understand La ilaha illallah means that I should not dedicate any form of worship, any form of ultimate love, any form of devotion, any form of supplication, any form of even dependence and reliance on other than Allah. Many Muslims today say La ilaha illallah, even those who don't fall into major shirk. But when it comes to tawakkul, to reliance on Allah, when they are in trouble, they're shivering in fear, as if Allah doesn't exist. They can't afford to feed their family, they rush to banks, take anything haram, no problem if the source is haram. Why? Because their minds are fixed, their hearts are fixed on material goods. We forgot about tawakkul. What's the meaning of it? We think tawakkul is some kind of imagination, some kind of fancy that only certain people can live within. No, it's a reality. Unfortunately, we have fallen into the trap of materialism. We only believe in tangible things. If we can't touch the money, we don't trust that Allah can give it to us. Now that doesn't go along, or doesn't go in line with strong iman. I would say strong iman. Because you can still be a mu'min, can still be a believer and have these shortcomings. But you haven't reached the level of iman that you are obligated to. You have to work hard on yourself. So Ibn al-Qayyim finalizes his statement by saying, and if you وَإِن رُحْتَ تُخْبِرُ أَهْلَ هَذَا الزَّمَانِ عَنْ أَحْوَالِ السَّلَفِ, and if you are to tell the people of today about the actions, about the great contributions of the early generations, لَاسْتَحْقَرُوا أَعْمَالَهُم, they would look down upon the actions of the companions. Like many Muslims today, when they read the life of the Prophet ﷺ, some of them, and I heard this, they say, that's very simple life, it's naive, there's no depth to this life. And these are the very words of the Orientalists. And the problem is not with the life of the Prophet ﷺ itself. The problem is with these people's mentality. They can't taste the beauty. They can't realize the depth. And it happens actually with many times with us. You meet this person, you've heard a lot about him. You deal with him, you see him very simple-minded, very superficial person. You don't see anything special about him. But as you interact with that person, over time you start to the depth that he has starts to unfold before your eyes. You start to realize that this person is really deep. He has something to contribute. This is a common human experience. So, based on Ibn al-Qayyim's statement, this is why I chose to use some contemporary terminology. This is why I called it faith-based intelligence. Faith-based intelligence. And there is so much wisdom in our deen that it can set everything right in our lives. Whether it's business, family, whatever planning you have, financial situation, all of this is part of our deen and reality. It's part of our deen. Because there's no separation between ad-dunya and al-akhirah. As Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, which I quoted a few days ago, Ali ibn Abi Talib said, ad-dunya mazra'atul akhirah. This world is the fertile soil for the akhirah. And you can't make it to the akhirah without this dunya. This is why Allah gave it to you. Allah didn't give you this dunya to keep you away from the akhirah. Allah gave it to you so that you use it as a means to get to paradise. That's the only wisdom why Allah gave you this dunya and everything in it. That's the ultimate purpose behind it. But people use it as the ultimate purpose. They forget about the akhirah. Okay, so I will start inshallah, and I will explain as we move on why I chose this terminology and what is the general context behind all of this. Okay, it's just starting from the state of the ummah today. What are the challenges, okay, that our ummah faces today? What are the challenges that our ummah face today? I gave these introductions by saying that the prophets were sent with miracles that people could strongly relate to. Now the reason why I'm asking this question is, what is our challenge today? Is that we have even our da'wah, our approach to the deen has to be based on the understanding of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions. But at each time there are priorities. At each time there are realities you cannot ignore. You have to take them into consideration in the way you relate your religion to the others, so that you remain relevant to the deen and you remain relevant to your society. And this is how you can fulfill your religious obligations. Without that, you can live in a cave. You will have to live in a cave, and you will not have an impact on the world. And this is not the right approach.